Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode. My name is Alicia Gogan, the host of the Glow Up Secrets podcast, where I help you expand your mind and become more self-aware so that you can glow up into the best version of yourself. Hello, happy Thursday. If you're listening to this on a Thursday, I'm feeling a little exhausted because I had a very heavy leg day today and I took a week off of working out. So I'm a little gassed. But it's okay. We are still here. And today we have an important topic to talk about. We need to talk about how you can change your self-concept to become a brand new you. So I feel like self-concept, and you know what? I'll just start off by saying self-concept is basically your self-image, how you view yourself. And I feel like in the self-development niche online on YouTube, everyone's talking about self-concept. And I figured I'm going to break down what I personally believe self-concept is, how I've learned to change my own self-concept. We're going to talk about beliefs. We're going to talk about some misconceptions. We're going to talk about, just really how do you view yourself in a better light? And I feel like this is the thing that changed my entire life. And I didn't even know I was doing self-concept work when I first started self-development back in like 2017, 2018. But essentially, that's what it was. So I have a list of a million things that we're going to go through, and we're going to try and go through it as quickly as possible. Also, I do have an editor now, which is so weird because as I'm recording, I know that somebody is watching this as they're editing, but whatever. Anyways, I'm just happy that I'm getting an editor because I feel like I need to catch up on other work, but thank God for the editor. Shout out, Sophia. Okay, so let's first talk about what self-concept really is. And my notes app, because it picked up everything that I was saying, it's literally all over the place. But essentially, your self-concept is the thoughts that you think when you look into the mirror about yourself physically, mentally, but also how you view yourself in relation to other people and also how you view the world. So essentially, it is your beliefs. Like, what do you believe about yourself? And I think sometimes people get caught up with this because I'll bring it to the I know my worth thing. A lot of people will say they know their worth, but then they stay in situations where it's very clear that they don't know their worth. And that's because consciously they're telling themselves that they know their worth. Like consciously, I know that I'm good enough and I should have a relationship or that I should have a guy show up for me. But subconsciously, like deep down from your childhood programming, you don't believe that, because if you actually knew that about yourself, you wouldn't be doing certain actions. Like your actions are not aligning with the things that you say you know are true about yourself. So if you want to know what you truly believe subconsciously about yourself, take a look at the actions that you take in your life or lack thereof, and what you accept in relationships, how you really, like what you deeply think about the world, even if you say something out loud, like you have conversations saying like, oh, I'm not judging, or I don't think this, but like deep down you actually do. Like your self-concept is really your deepest beliefs that you hold about yourself in the world. So, like I just said, why do we want to work on our self-concept? Why do we want to change our self-concept? And mainly is because our beliefs that we hold really do dictate the actions that we take in our life. And if we want good relationships, we want to just feel better in our bodies, like we want to love ourselves, we want to go for our dream job, we want the dream life, we're going to need to take certain actions in our lives to be able to get there. And I think as I'm talking about self-concept in this episode today, I'm going to bring it back to maybe an example of me becoming a YouTuber, just so you can like have sort of some examples, but we'll get into that in a bit. So I wrote out here, what are some examples of a good self-concept if you still don't really know? So like some examples could be, I'm a kind person, I'm a smart person, I'm able to handle tough situations, and I'm resilient. I am a likable person. People accept me for who I am. I don't have to be perfect in relationships. Again, like you either think those things or maybe you don't. And a lot of us don't. So here's like a few examples of what a bad self-concept or self-image could be. I'm not a good person, I'm ugly, I'm not smart enough, people want me to be something that I'm not, I can't be successful, let's say doing YouTube, I can't be successful doing YouTube. I have nothing impactful to say, blah, blah, blah. List goes on, right? And you can think about this, whether that's finances, career, school, relationships, friendships, everything. You have a belief with everything, in relation to everything. So where do these beliefs come from? And this is something that I didn't, like when I first started working on self-development and telling myself affirmations and things, I didn't understand that a lot of the things that I thought about myself that weren't favorable, like I'm ugly or I'm not smart enough or I'm not good enough, actually came from a lot of programming in childhood, which is that's just what happens. We create our self-image and our self-concept. I'm going to use those two words interchangeably through our life circumstances. And unfortunately, no one ever really has the most perfect upbringing or being raised the right or proper way, I should say, whatever. Especially on the podcast, like I feel like we all just know that we have maybe little traumas, big traumas that we've been through, whatever. So I wrote here a few things that our beliefs will really come from. One being parental guidance. So this could just be like what your parents told you you needed to be, act, and do in the world, which is also not a bad thing because we need guidance. But, you know, like we're all so unique and we do have different wants, needs, preferences. We're just different. So as much as, yes, on one hand, our parents can guide us in a certain direction, sometimes parents go to the extreme of like trying to mold you into this child that you actually aren't based off of what they've been taught or what they think that you should be. Of course, social environments. So like high school cliques, trends, bullies, you know, like I was so a product of who I was hanging out with in high school or elementary school. Also religious associations. So, you know, if you were grown up in a Christian household, you're going to have a certain view on how you should act, be, and think, do based off of the Bible or based off of your religion, which again is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's something to be aware of. And also like knowledge, you know, some people, let's say, have a belief that veganism is the best diet in the world and it's the healthiest and it's the best for the environment and like that's how everyone should be eating. And then some people have a belief that like the carnivore diet is the best and this is how everyone should be eating and we should be eating like the way that we used to when we were like back in the caveman days. But their beliefs are coming from the knowledge that they gained, you know, whatever they went to school for, the people that they're around, the books that they're reading. So realistically, depending on what you believe, I have a very balanced way of viewing people and their beliefs. I think that there's not really that many good or bad or right or wrong things. Like there's different religions. Who's to say which one is the best? Not me. But some people will think, no, Christianity is the only way, or being Muslim is the only way, or like Islam, actually, I should say. That's the right way to say it. Whatever. Or some people believe like, no, being a vegan is the only way. But some people like me, I believe, well, there's different diets for different people and there's different preferences and different X, Y, and Z. So I think you get the point. So bringing it back to our beliefs really correlate with our actions. So I'll give you a few examples. If you believe that you are ugly, you might be somebody who's very insecure in your relationships. So you might always be second guessing yourself, wondering if your man likes you, wondering if anyone is judging you, wondering if your man has wandering eyes. Maybe you are trying to control and sometimes like even if you feel like you're ugly or you're insecure, maybe you're not necessarily trying to control somebody because you actually know that like that's not a healthy thing, but deep down you still are checking and obsessing and you don't have good thoughts, and nobody wants to feel like that in relationships. And also that can obviously create a downfall effect of a relationship to the point where like maybe that there's more fights and you know, maybe the relationship doesn't work out. Or let's say you don't think that you are smart based off of the level of academics that you achieved in school. if you don't think that you're smart, then you're probably not going to apply yourself. Maybe you're not going to try anymore in school. Maybe you're not going to go for this new opportunity because you believe that you're not smart enough. Or another example, if you have been taught, maybe somebody told you this in your life, you're not a good person because you didn't act or be or do whatever somebody else wanted you to do. Or maybe you just picked it up, like you saw somebody act a certain way and then that parent told that person, that kid, you're not a good kid for doing that. And then in your head, you're like, oh, damn, I do that, so I must be bad. Things like that. Then maybe if you go through life thinking that you're not a good person, you're going to push people away. Maybe you think, you know what, I'm not deserving. I shouldn't have these things. I shouldn't have money. I shouldn't have these things because I'm not doing the best, or I'm not living up to a certain standard that my parents told me that I had to live up to. And because I'm not, I don't deserve to have a good paying job unless I work like this or look like this. So again, a lot of what we believe that we can have in our life is based off of how we view ourselves, and how we view ourselves and what we believe about ourselves in the world comes from our childhood, our upbringing. It's not just parents, it's environment, it's what we've learned. It's also things that have happened to us. So, you know, maybe you had like the perfect childhood, but then you go through a breakup and for some reason your first boyfriend, he decides that he wants to go date this girl over here and he tells you to your face, you're ugly and she's pretty and I want to be with her. Like, you know, like things happen and it sucks. But of course, and you know, maybe you have people around you that can really help you bring up that self-image in that moment, let's say that circumstance, but that might mess with your self-confidence a little bit to have somebody say you're not good enough. It's kind of like a normal thing. So how do we change our self-concept? Because again, our self-concept, our beliefs, our self-image, all in the same umbrella really will dictate our actions. Our actions are really what we're going to get in our lives. So the first thing I think is actually really important is for you to go to the root. Now, a lot of people skip this step. They know maybe that they're insecure. They know that they don't like themselves, that they think they're ugly, that they think they're not smart, this, that. But I actually I actually think it's important for you to, if you can, get to the root as to where you picked up this belief about yourself. Who told you that you were ugly? And I know you might think that it's, well, I'm telling myself that I'm ugly. Okay, but where did this first stem? Were you spending a lot of time on social media and you saw a bunch of girls who didn't look like you get praise, and because you look different, you thought that you were not worthy of attention or love or affection or whatever? Like, where did this belief that you hold about yourself come from? I'll give you a quick example. When I was in high school, I actually really didn't think that I was pretty, good looking, I was favorable, anything like that. And why I didn't feel like that, yes, there's always a part of being a teenager where you go through this awkward stage and you're not happy in your body. Like, I feel like everyone kind of goes through that stage, but I definitely do think I really struggled with accepting myself and thinking that I was like any sort of beautiful, pretty, whatever, liked myself, because I looked very different from the girls that were in my school. And on top of that, because we are human beings and we want connection, we want love, and we want attention, it's very normal and it's totally fine if we want that. I saw girls in my school who were getting chosen, getting favored, getting whatever, getting to wear the best clothes or this, that looked nothing like me. So I subconsciously started to think, wow, like, no, I'm not pretty, I'm not whatever, because I don't look like these girls. Another thing that happened to me in school was I wouldn't even say a slow learner, but I just needed more time to understand a concept in school. Now, mind you, I do think that coming from a household where my mom was working a lot and I didn't have the best relationship with my dad, like I was like afraid of him, so I wouldn't even ask him to help with homework or things like that. I just didn't grow up in the most conducive environment for becoming a very highly achieving academic child. Not to say that that couldn't have happened, but that was just kind of the reality. And I was also a shy student. I also just didn't have a lot of confidence within myself. So I tended to not ask questions. I was afraid. I didn't want to look dumb. I didn't get a lot of help after school. So throughout some of the years in elementary school, I would get like extra help, like where I could go and get I could go to one of those classes where you could write your tests and they'll give you like an hour or two or like however long you need to write the test, which is not a bad thing. But naturally as a child, like when you are seeing that you are being pulled out of class to get extra help, naturally you're like, oh, like I'm not as smart as these kids. Like I'm not learning as quick as them. And on top of that, the more that I got pulled out of class, first of all, every time that I got pulled out of class to go get extra help, I really don't think that those environments were very conducive, at least for me at the schools that I went to. Like, it wasn't like I was getting like extra tutoring where they were there, like really making sure I understood the concept. It was basically like put these kids in a room, let them have more time with their homework until they finish their tests or their work. But like, I still didn't understand what was going on. But also that was like an environmental thing at home. Like I get it. School systems are not the best. But because I kept getting pulled out of class to do work that I never even ended up like actually learning how to do, I would come back to class and the class would already be on the next lesson of the semester or the year, I guess, because of elementary school. So I started becoming like even more behind because not only am I not understanding the concept that y'all just learned last week in extra help class, I'm coming back not knowing shit about that session, and now you guys are teaching me something that's even harder, and now I'm getting overwhelmed. So I didn't do good in school. I had D's like majority of elementary school. Like I just slowly slid past. It was not really good. I wasn't like the worst student. I wasn't a hard student to like deal with, and like I tried my best, and I think that people just kind of like passed me through. But I also like did know how to read and write and learn, and I knew how to do math. Like I wasn't very whatever, but still the more years I went through that, which was essentially all of my elementary school and even into my high school, I created this self-concept that I was not smart. And so when I got into high school, as soon as I got into grade 9, and especially around math, it started to feel really hard because of course I wasn't really prepared. I was more susceptible of just giving up because I was like, I'm not smart. I can't get this. I don't know this. And then grade 10 came. I don't know it. Whatever. I would ask my friends to do my work, this, that. Like I very much so slid through high school. And then I don't even know, you know what? I think, well, actually this is what happened. I know I'm going on a complete tangent, but you guys know I do this. In grade 10, my dad passed away. I've told you guys this multiple times that I kind of like awakened. That was like my first like awakening. I would even say like a spiritual awakening. And when that happened, I just kind of like something switched and I just became like, I got to do better. I got to do better for my dad. Like I got to do better for like my life. Like life just changed for me. And so in grade 10, I was still struggling in school, but I was like really interested in like bettering myself. And this is around like around 16 years old. This is where I talk about this in my book. This is where my glow up journey really started. So I wanted to get better with my body and work out and diet, although it was a lot to do with insecurities. And then I tell you guys that entire story in my book. My book is going to be ready for release January 30th, the Ultimate Glow Up Guide. Everything will be down below. But around that time, I started to just wanted to work on myself. I remember I was listening to TED Talks. A teacher had brought in a TV into the classroom one day and they showed us this TED Talk about something. And that was like the first time I learned about like self-development. So I remember going home on my small little iPhone and watching TED Talks and being like, whoa, like I'm learning things and I can. So around grade 10 into grade 11, I started applying myself because I was really motivated to just like work on myself and like, I don't know, change my mindset. And grade 11, my grades started to turn around. I started getting into the self-concept of I am this girl who works on herself, who takes care of herself, who does her homework. Like I would like have a routine of coming home and being like, I want to work on my homework and I want to understand math and I want to understand English and I like this. And then of course, like grade 11 to grade 12 is when you start to focus on like going to college and stuff. So I started to think about what do I want to do for my career and whatever. I remember being in marketing class and really loving marketing and branding. And I just started to apply myself. And I remember grade 12, I had the best freaking grades and I couldn't believe it. But at the same time, I also could, but I didn't know what I was doing, but I really was no longer living in this story that I didn't know how to do things and that I was dumb. And one thing my mom used to always tell me, which I didn't really take into heart, I guess, until around grade 11 and 12 was she was like, just because you might need extra time doesn't mean that you can't get it, that you can't understand it. You just need to apply yourself. Just apply yourself. Keep trying. And the more that I did, the more that I actually learned how to be competent in a lot of different areas where I thought that I wasn't. So coming to this idea of why do we want to know the root cause of our beliefs? I think it's important because it helps you gain perspective of, oh, okay, well, I see why it was that I didn't think that I was smart or that I didn't think that I was pretty or that I didn't have confidence with myself. It actually isn't a me problem in a way. You know what I mean? Like you didn't just come out of the womb like being ugly or like being not smart. Like there was circumstances in your life that created this self-concept. It's not to blame everyone because at the end of the day, it's like life is life, but it's to see, okay, well, this is actually not who I am. This is just what I was grown up around and what I picked up. And I think it's helpful because that allows you to have some freedom to actually choose to change, to realize, no, I don't want to look at myself like I'm ugly just because I went to a school where predominantly everyone was white and everyone got praised for their like skinny bodies and their Hollister clothes that they got to wear. And I didn't have any money for that, or their straight hair, or their like whatever. It just is what it is. I was like in that environment, or yeah, like I struggled in school understanding concepts. That doesn't mean that I'm dumb. It just meant that I needed some extra help. And that leads into my second point, which I basically already said, is accepting your current self-image for what it is and understanding why you even have this self-image. Just accepting it. Like, yeah, I thought for many years of my life that I wasn't smart because of what I just told you. It actually makes perfect sense. But I no longer want to believe that about myself. And so step 3 is understanding that the beliefs you hold about yourself is not serving you. We know these beliefs about ourselves don't serve us. Like, let's just get real. We don't need it. It's not going to get us anywhere. It's time to choose a new self-identity, self-concept, self-image. Basically, who do you want to view yourself now in this present moment? There's a few ways I like to look at this. Something to ask yourself is, well, who would you be if you didn't go through those certain experiences? Like, what would you believe about yourself if you didn't have that person who told you that you were ugly? Most likely you probably wouldn't look at yourself like you were the most ugly person. Or if I didn't go to a school where it was all white people and I had people who resembled the same hair texture as me, the same face, the same skin tone, I most likely wouldn't think that I was like a piece of shit. And I'm saying that just because that's what I thought. Please don't think that you are if you are in a school, because there's some people who are like mixed girls or black girls in an all predominantly like white school and they think that they're the shit. Like, honestly, good for you, because that's exactly how you should feel. But for me, that's not really how it was. So just thinking like, what would I actually believe about myself if it wasn't for these circumstances? Or thinking about the person that you want to become. And I'm going to bring it now to being a YouTuber. What does a successful podcaster, YouTuber, Instagrammer, social media, content creation person think about themselves? So maybe you don't want to be a YouTuber, but you want to be a businesswoman. Maybe you don't want to be a businesswoman, but you want to be a wife or you want to be somebody who's really healthy. You want to be somebody who makes a lot of money. You want to be somebody who gets to have time freedom, whatever it is you want. And you can look at all aspects of your life, but usually we have that one area of focus that we really want to like work on. So thinking about the person that you want to be, what do they believe about themselves and what actions do they take? And if you think about it, what does a YouTuber think about themselves? Well, I'll give you an example of what beliefs I hold about myself and what I did before I even got onto YouTube. But like what helped me to get onto YouTube is I believed that I had something important to say. Okay? I believe I have something important to say based off of the things that I have gone through. I also believe and know that other people go through similar experiences as me. I just believe that. I also believe that I'm competent enough to get on a mic and speak. I also believe I don't have to be perfect to get on a mic and speak. And what else? I'm confident in the way that I look, in the way that I present. I also am confident and I have a belief that I was able to grow on YouTube, because that's another thing. Like if you don't believe that you're going to be able to grow on YouTube, you're not going to start on YouTube. But for me, I knew if I was consistent, if I believed in myself, if I showed up in a certain way, eventually over time, I'd be able to grow. But some people don't believe in themselves. Some people don't believe in the message that they have. Some people don't believe that they can even grow on social media. Some people believe so I had to have those beliefs in order for me to actually now step into this identity of a YouTuber. Now, I have worked on many areas of my life when it comes to belief, because you always have beliefs with every area of your life. Like I already said, with relationships, men, like you have a story about men, you have a story about money, you have a story about what you can get in your life, you have a story about yourself, your body, your looks, your everything. And some of the beliefs that I hold for myself is I'm a beautiful woman. Men show up for me in relationships. I am a successful businesswoman who runs a podcast, a YouTube channel, a one-on-one coaching. I am healthy and I take care of myself. I am resilient and I can get through hard times. I am supported. I am loved. I can always figure it out. Like I have these beliefs. So based off of the person that you want to be, let's say a YouTuber, you're going to write out a list of beliefs that this person would need to hold in order to actually be this person. So again, you can go down the list, but I would maybe say like focus on one aspect of your life that maybe you find is playing a big role. Like let's say you struggle with relationships because you're really insecure. And you tend to control, obsess, check, do all these things. Well, what do you believe about yourself? Because why don't you believe that like you're the chosen one and the guy that you're with only wants to be with you and he sees all the value in you, and it doesn't matter if there's another girl over here that's pretty because like you're his type, you're his everything, he's chosen you, right? Like what are the beliefs that you want to now hold, new beliefs, writing those down. Also, if you struggle with knowing what healthy beliefs are, because I feel like some people don't actually know what a wealthy person would believe about themselves or the world, or some people don't know what a married woman that's healthy would believe about herself or her relationships. I would highly suggest go to Dylan James's YouTube channel. He has a lot of belief tracks. So depending on if you want to work on your finances, your relationships, your self-image, like anything, you can listen to some of his belief tracks, and he basically is saying these beliefs out loud as if that's like your actual beliefs, and you can hear some of the things that he says, so you can get like a good I don't know, like I was gonna say indication, but that's not the right word. A good example, I should say, of what somebody who thinks highly of themselves would believe. Because yeah, like sometimes you're not like around people who have good beliefs about them. Or you can even think about somebody in your life who is really successful. Like, what is it that they only, like, not only do they do, but what do they believe about themselves? And I think about some of my successful friends and the actions that they take, but what they believe about themselves. And it's all very positive. They have a lot of confidence within themselves. Like, they believe they can get through hard times. They believe they can find a way. Like, that's just, of course, what we want to believe. So writing out a list of beliefs that you want to take on as truth for yourself now. So the next step is really embodying this new identity based off of the beliefs that you are realizing you want to hold about yourself in whatever you're trying to create in your life, really, or become in your life. So let's bring it back to an example of wanting to become a YouTuber. You have realized you've had crappy beliefs about yourself and you really have this desire to want to be a YouTuber, but you realize you actually don't have those beliefs. You don't back yourself. You second guess yourself. You self-doubt. You tell yourself you don't know how to do it, this, that, and the third. So let's bring it back to before I started on YouTube. This is kind of what I did, but I probably did it a little bit like different. I don't exactly know, but I definitely had a practice. So I'll just say this is what I did so you can like have an example. Every morning, I definitely did this part. Every morning I would wake up and I would have a journal practice, okay? And I call it self-concept journaling. So essentially, you are going through the new beliefs that you want to hold about yourself, about you in relation to what it is that you want in your life, whatever it is. So in the morning, writing I am statements. I am a successful YouTuber. I am somebody who knows how to figure things out. I am somebody who is building their dream life. I am finding the answers and the opportunities that will lead me closer to my dream life. I am somebody who's able to find all the right people and all the right videos on YouTube to teach me how to become a better YouTuber. I am somebody who knows how to speak freely and knows how to speak confidently and knows how to edit. Like, thinking about everything that you need to believe and writing from a place of I am. Now, some people struggle with this because they're like, well, I'm not that. But the reason why it's important to write as if you essentially are is because you're changing your neural pathways in your brain. You're actually being able to look through the world in a new lens of you are this YouTuber. You are somebody who can figure things out. You are somebody who X, Y, and Z. You're essentially just changing your mindset from a negative point of view to a positive point of view. Why this is important is because after you do a journal practice and you start to embody some new beliefs about yourself or the world or whatever, you tend to take action from this place. So instead of waking up every morning and thinking subconsciously or consciously, but subconsciously, I'm ugly, I'm not smart, I'm self-doubting myself, I can't do it, what actions are you going to take from that? You're not going to get up online and type in how to become a YouTuber in 2024. You're probably not going to do that because you're going to second guess, you're going to talk yourself out of it. But if you wake up in the morning and you have a sit down practice every single morning, you're envisioning, right? You're writing it out, but you're also envisioning like, I am this podcaster who speaks to women about self-love and healing, and I don't even have to be perfect, but X, Y, and Z. When you are done that practice, you will tend to get up and do the actions that align to the person who is actually a YouTuber. This is the thing. You need to identify as a person that you want to be before you actually are that person. Okay? I woke up every single day when I decided that I wanted to be a YouTuber, and I looked at myself like a YouTuber before I was technically a YouTuber, okay? Before I had the views, before I had the subscribers, before I was making money. I looked at myself as I'm a successful YouTuber and I'm making money off of YouTube, let's say. Now, I want to quickly say one thing about affirmations and I am statements, because sometimes it can be hard because you have a lot of resistance to being like, no, but it's not true. So something that's helped me in the times where I'm really trying to like become this new version and tell myself a new story, write it out, is I like to use this thing that I call bridging affirmations. And so you're not saying that you're a YouTuber if you find it's like too much resistance, like you don't believe it yet. You can say something like, I am on the path of becoming a YouTuber. I am on the path of finding the answers to X, Y, and Z. I am learning how to have healthier relationships. I am slowly working on my self-image and my self-concept in relation to relationships. I am slowly starting to believe that my boyfriend actually only wants to choose me and only wants to be with me, like whatever it is. I am choosing to create a positive environment in my life, which will allow me to then step into this new identity. So very much so being realistic in a way. And I think this is where people struggle with affirmations, is because they try to do affirmations and they're like, well, it's not true. I don't have $1 million. It's not about telling yourself, oh, I have $1 million, if that really doesn't vibe with you. It could be, I am on the path of finding the resources and the people and aligning to a frequency of making $100 million or $1 million. Sorry, that was a lot. $100 million is a lot. Now, why I'm saying that this needs to be a daily practice is because you have to understand this about beliefs, especially subconscious beliefs. These beliefs that you hold about yourself, all the negative ones, have been programmed in your neural pathways for years. Okay? So if you are here to find a quick fix of, okay, Alicia told me to write a list of new beliefs that I want to hold about myself, and I'm going to do that in the morning, and you think that you can do that for a week and your whole entire life will change, sorry, this is not the podcast for you. Listen, I know we all want results really quickly, but the truth is you're going to need some practice with thinking new thoughts, because this is essentially what it is. You're thinking new thoughts about the world. You're finally changing the way that you view your world. And I remember I even did this when I first was doing a lot of self-development. I would write out a lot of like gratitude lists and changing the way that I viewed my negative circumstances. And I think gratitude lists can also be very helpful if you struggle with doing any sort of like belief work. If you find that you're like just being really negative about things, like just first accepting like, okay, yeah, like, I don't have the best financial situation right now, but I have health to be able to get to work, to be able to make more money, and to eventually be able to invest and save and pay off debt. Like whatever it is, I am grateful for my health because then I can get up and like go watch a YouTube video that's going to teach me how to be a YouTuber. Like literally like being very grateful. So doing this practice every day is going to be very crucial because you subconsciously have beliefs all the time popping up in your mind without even really realizing it with everything, because essentially how you act is based off of your beliefs. So a morning practice is great. During the day is great. Also at night is great. Sleeping with night affirmations is great. I'm going to talk about a few other things that are going to help you outside of just like doing a morning practice, because a morning practice, yes, is important, because it also allows you to catapult yourself into new actions. But what you infiltrate your mind with also can affect what happens. So after you do your morning ritual of like self-concept journaling, I still do this today, guys. Listen, I still do this today, especially when I'm trying to work on something that I want to bring into my life that's higher than what I already have, whether that be like more money, better relationships, or if I'm just feeling a little bit low. And this is another thing. It's like, you're not going to be perfect. Sometimes shit happens in your life and you got to go back to like reminding yourself that you are that girl. Like that's totally fine. But the next thing to do is take action. So if you woke up and you wrote, I am this successful YouTuber who believes in herself and she has this unique perspective and a great mindset, and she's helping women all over the world, and she's growing on YouTube, whatever belief that you're going to be writing in the morning, asking yourself, what would a YouTuber do? So after I would do morning journaling back in the day, like before I started being a YouTuber, I would get up and I would, in my calendar, have time blocks of when I was going to record and edit and upload or create thumbnails or come up with concepts or ideas or do market research or watch videos on how to be a better speaker, whatever it is. So this is the thing, like you really want to have your actions be aligned with the new mindset the new beliefs that you wrote in the morning. And this is going to take some conscious effort, right? Because naturally, just because you write, oh, I'm the successful YouTuber and I'm going to make a lot of money, or I have good relationships, after you write that or you think those thoughts, you're going to need to like push yourself in the direction of actually taking actions that align, right? Because it's not going to be a normal, like automatic thing to do. So you're going to have to have a schedule or however it is that you want to do, depending on what you're working on, and to take new actions. Another example is, okay, if you want to look at yourself as a smart person, yes, you can do the morning journaling of I am a smart person, or I am able to understand a concept, or I am working towards applying myself and I can do this, whatever it is. What's really going to make you feel like a smart person is actually applying yourself, right? If you just write that and then you go on with your day and you're just expecting yourself to like feel and act smart or like get good grades, but you're not applying yourself, you're not doing your homework, and you're not showing up to class, obviously that's not going to work. And I think this is the issue that we have with the manifestation like realm online is they'll talk about how just affirm, and then it's yours. It's like, first of all, that's a different level of understanding that you can get to, but it's not now. What's going to make you feel like that girl? What's going to make you feel smart? What's going to make you feel like a YouTuber is taking actions that align to what a YouTuber would be doing or what a healthy relationship would look like or feel like. Like in a healthy relationship, let's say, you in a healthy relationship wouldn't be checking to see if the guy that you're talking to is liking your stories or watching your stories. You wouldn't be checking to see who he's following and who he's liking. Or you wouldn't be waiting all day for text. You wouldn't be internalizing what the text message says because you have a self-concept of you are chosen. It literally doesn't matter. This guy likes you. You're fucking amazing. And you have other things to do that are more important than wasting your time doing that. You know what I mean? Like, what are your actions, and make those actions be aligned to whatever it is that you are trying to be. So let's talk quickly about common issues I find people having, and I have found myself having too, when it comes to becoming a new version of you. Because this is what's going to happen is when you realize that you want to have new beliefs about yourself, you'll do a morning journal practice, and then you'll start taking action. Let's say bring it back to being a YouTuber. You wake up and you realize, yep, I have something great to say, and I'm going to reaffirm that to myself. I'm going to just like pour into myself good affirmations, and then I'm going to start this journey of becoming a YouTuber. I'm going to record, I'm going to edit, upload, I'm going to like come up with my brand, I'm going to do everything. There's going to be a level of you persisting, because this is what we do as humans, which is normal, but it happens, is as soon as we do something, we say, where's the result? Okay, I believe that I'm a YouTuber and I believe that I have something good to say, and I just recorded my video and I uploaded it and there's no views. Where are the views? You have to understand that there's going to be a level of time delay. There's going to be a level of you persisting. There's going to be a level, or I should say, lack thereof evidence. And this is not where you give up. It takes time for you to actually have beliefs about yourself and for you to really manifest through your actions in your life. Now, I actually created a Heal to Manifest guide, a journal guide, digital guide. It'll be down in the description if you're interested in that. I bring you through the process of if you want to manifest any sort of financial relationship, anything in your life, you can go through that guide and work on the beliefs that you hold about not being able to get those things and reprogramming new beliefs and new affirmations. I talk about bridging affirmations. I give you resources in terms of nightly affirmations that you can go to different channels to reprogram your mind at night. Also, like I am grateful, I am worthy, I am statements that you will be able to practice, different resources, all of it down below. But I just think like when it comes to manifesting, because essentially this is what it is, right? We're changing our self-concept to have a better life. We want to manifest something in our lives. We have to let the universe in a way catch up, because if you think about it, you have created this life based off of what you believe and how you view the world. So we can't just assume that tomorrow everyone's going to change because we've decided that we want to change. And I think where a lot of us go wrong is when we want to change our beliefs, and we change our beliefs and we start taking action and we look out into our reality and we say nothing is changing, we say it's not working. No, it's working. You just don't see it yet. This is more in the realm of like universal spiritual stuff, which we're not going to get into right now with this. And it's my personal beliefs. A lot of people have these beliefs, but like when it comes to manifestation, if we are going to talk about the spiritual, the energetic manifestation, match, abundance, scarcity, this type of energy thing, it takes a while for you to be in alignment with things that are going to match the same frequency that you are on, meaning love, grateful, abundant, belief in yourself. So I just wanted to say that because I feel like a lot of people, again, they do beliefs or they work on it and they're like looking out in the reality, oh, it's not working, or this person's rejecting me, or this person didn't like me. You don't use shitty things that you see in your life as evidence to reaffirm a shitty version of you in your life. Like, how does that, we're not doing that. So let's say you're working on your self-concept and you're trying to love yourself more. And then, a guy's not choosing you, or he didn't text you back, or he rejected you. Okay. This is not a personal thing anymore. We're not using that as a personal thing. Sorry, maybe this guy's not for me then. I don't know. But what I'm not going to do is ruin my own self-concept, right? And that's the journey of life. That's the lesson that we have to learn. We have to learn in our lives that, okay, just because this thing didn't work out doesn't mean that I don't deserve to not have this, right? Just because I needed more time to learn things in school doesn't mean that I'm not a smart person, that I can't go to school and I can't be successful, right? If I thought that about myself, guarantee you I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So don't let what you currently see in your life to throw you off kilter. Obviously you want to see some of the things in your life and maybe like take it with a grain of salt, but like you don't want to ignore everything, but don't use what you're seeing in your life as evidence to be like, oh, I'm not getting what I want. No, actually you're getting exactly what you want. Just work on your self-concept. Next thing is thinking about your mental diet and expanders. So your mental diet is essentially, of course, the thoughts that you think and the beliefs you hold about yourself, which we've already talked about that. So every morning you're working on new beliefs and you're going to take action through that. But also, who are you listening to? Podcasts, music. I'm a little iffy with music because I have a different viewpoint on how music is, but whatever. Podcasts, music, books, conversations that you're having. Where are you hanging out? Who are you hanging out with? What conversations are you having? Because all of those things impact the way you view yourself and the world. And when you are trying to change your self-concept, I would be highly aware of what you are letting in to your mental diet. This doesn't mean that you can never be around people who don't think the same way. It doesn't mean that you can't go to a club and have a drink. If you're like trying to change your self-concept and self-image, like doesn't mean, but definitely the thing that's helped me the most is to become kind of tunnel vision in my life and really aligned. Again, like I'm taking actions based off of what I believe and think about the world, which is what would a YouTuber do? Well, a YouTuber would get up on her free days off and work on her business instead of going to the club. So what is it that you're doing? Are you spending a lot of time doing the club thing, or are you actually spending time doing what's actually aligned with what a business person would be doing? You really got to think about your mental diet. So, going through your social media, going through the videos that you're constantly watching or lack thereof, like finding podcasts, getting a book, going outside, like everything. And this pairs well with expanders. So I got this term expanders from, what is it called? Oh, To Be Magnetic podcast, which is a great podcast for manifestation. They talk about manifestation in a very like logical way, subconscious belief way. So I would definitely check out their podcast. But they talk about something to really help you when it comes to transforming your life and your beliefs is showing your subconscious mind that's actually possible. Meaning looking up to people who have the things that you want. And I feel like I could be a good example for some people who, let's say, are in Canada, who come from a small town, who maybe even live in Toronto. There is a lot of influencers, but there's not that many YouTubers in Canada. But if you are somebody in Canada and you wanted to be a YouTuber and you didn't see anyone that you looked up to online that were like Canadian YouTuber, you might think it's harder to become a YouTuber because you don't see it. Versus if you were living in LA, remember the rise of all the YouTubers in LA? I can guarantee you it was so much easier. Like if I lived in LA around that time, I would have probably thought it would be so much easier for me to become a YouTuber. Why? Because everyone was becoming a YouTuber and everyone was doing it. It's like, so you really want to expand your mind. Find people who either resemble you, who come from the same background as you, who live in the same area as you, who have exactly what you want and came from maybe something that relates to you, and watch them. Listen to their stories. Listen to people who are telling you it's possible. This doesn't mean that you have to always look up to the person that looks exactly like you, because it's very hard to find your exact expander, but it definitely does help. Like I listen to people who not only have what I want, but tell me how to get it. I have listened to people who, have the same viewpoint of you can change your life and you are a creator of your own reality. Like I surround myself with people who are like that. I don't listen to people who say, you can't do it because the government says you can't do it. You can't do it because it's too hard to do it. You can't get brand deals because you live in Canada. Listen, I'm not about to go on a rant right now, but I am. There are many Canadian influencers I should honestly say Toronto influencers that I have met who have a very limiting mindset when it comes to their success as being a content creator. And I have no part in it. I don't want to have those conversations with them. Like when I meet them, I'm very nice, like whatever, but I can very much so tell when somebody's in this like victim, like, oh my God, no, it's so hard versus like, oh my God, I can do this. I just know that it doesn't help me. And that's also not been my case. And it hasn't been my case because I don't have those thoughts and those beliefs. I believe that I can be successful even as a content creator in Canada. I believe even if I've come from a small town or I don't know this or I know that or whatever, I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I've always had that mindset, and it's always been possible for me to get the things that I want in my life based off of what I believe I can get. So if you're around people who are saying, oh, it's so hard, you can't do this day and age, whatever, or relationships about men are all trash, all men cheat. Nope, sorry, don't want to have the conversation. You're not about to tell me that there's 8 billion people in the world and every man cheats. Every man is toxic. Every man is this, that, and the third. Absolutely not. You can have that belief if you want, which doesn't seem to help you, but I will not have that. I will not do it. Never have, won't do it. Actually, that's a lie. I definitely got into the mentality at some point when I was in my early 20s of like, men are all trash, like they're stupid, but I realized that wasn't serving me and I was just focusing on the negative, and that just never got me anything like positive in my life. And when I changed the story that I had about men and how they showed up for me, but also just men in general, oh my God, I dated so many good guys who never cheated, never treated me horribly, like whatever, like so many good men in my life, men who were in their masculine energy, men who really valued me, like whatever. And even men who you would but I'll just say like athletes. Like I dated this athlete and he was not toxic. He literally was not toxic at all. And you know, if I was in my early 20s, I would have thought, oh my God, like he's gonna cheat or he's gonna whatever. Like, no, it's actually just not reality. And you got to be careful because what you're really being taught is usually based off of the few shitty circumstances that you've been through, which is not to say that didn't happen, but that's just what it is. Doesn't mean that it's always going to be like that, but usually online as well. And like you usually hear, let's say we're bringing it to athletes. We'll just bring it to athletes for a second. Athletes all cheat, this, that. Do you know how many athletes in the NFL, baseball, soccer, what else? Basketball, that have wives and children and are out of the media and who do not cheat? Yeah, you probably don't think that there's a lot because all you listen to are people who are complaining about the cheaters. This is not to mean that you can't be aware and you can't listen, but I'm telling you, it doesn't help. And when I stopped listening to those people and like this, that, and the third, that's that. And you know what I do? If I do hear those stories, I just remind myself like, okay, well, it's not everyone. And it's also not going to be true for me. And let's say it was true. You know what? It's not a reflection of me and who I am as a person. This person is clearly not okay. Like, and you want to tell yourself this if you've ever been through a situation like this, because I've definitely been through situations where I didn't get treated the best or like something didn't work out. That doesn't need to be the end of the world. Not every man is like this. Not every opportunity is going to be like this. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, you guys know what I mean. So anyways, I just think that it's really important that you but focus on the expanders, the mental diet, the things that you're feeding your mind, because I promise you, it really does affect the way that you view the world. And I know you guys have a pretty good mental diet because you listen to this podcast and you guys know the downfall of listening to people can constantly complain. And listen, I'm here for a good complaining session, a good smack talk, a good little gossip here and there. I love my reality TV. I love my hood music. I love things that are technically not the healthiest for you. But the way that I view it is this is not going to be true for me though. Like I can listen and vibe to this music, but it's not going to affect my self-concept. But you just want to be careful, because if you are somebody who's working on your self-concept and you're like in the baby stages of it, just be careful and maybe like don't. And like I can even, let's say, go out to a club now and really enjoy my time, my time and myself, and not feel insecure. But when I was very insecure when I was younger, I realized that those environments didn't really help me, because those environments are very much so based off of like how you look, and you have to be hot, and like guys only talk to you, like, you know what I mean? So anyways, you can have a whole new set of beliefs on anything. You can change anything. You can decide. And the last thing I just want to say is this. When you are working on changing your self-concept, you're doing your journaling in the mornings, your, mental diet, you're getting yourself aligned. Just be aware of when you find yourself pushing too hard. And this is what I mean. Sometimes when you are doing self-concept journaling, or you're trying to affirm to yourself, it can be in this energy of forcing. Like you're forcing yourself to believe this when you feel like it's not true. Like you really want to connect with your intuition and know when enough is enough. Sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes you need to let it out. Sometimes you need to think, you know what? Yeah, I don't feel hot right now. You know what? No, I don't accept myself right now. You know what? Yeah, I self-doubt myself right now. I don't feel like the best YouTuber. I don't feel like my boyfriend likes me right now. Like, emotionally release. I just want to say that because I think that this is another thing that really people get stuck on when it comes to like manifesting and affirmations and things like that, is they try and like force themselves to have this self-concept, and they're affirming and whatever. And it's not needed. You don't always have to have the most perfect thoughts. Like you're not going to like ruin your life if you don't have a good thought. But I think sometimes like you actually just need to let it out. And this is what I do. Sometimes when I'm journaling, and let's say I'm like trying to write I am affirmations, and I'm trying to be grateful for things or whatever, and it just doesn't make me feel good. Like if it's not making me feel good, and I just like I'm just not connecting to it, I'll drop the practice. And what I do is I emotionally release. So I write everything I'm actually feeling and thinking. Okay. And this is not a cute journal practice. This is something where you probably want to rip it up and throw it away. But I promise you, it's so therapeutic. And sometimes you need this. Sometimes you need to write out, yeah, you know what? I feel horrible about myself right now. I'm jealous of this person. I don't know where I'm going in my life. I freaking hate this. I don't want to do this. I'm mad at the world. I'm mad that my parents, created this trauma in me, and I can't da-da-da-da. Like you got to let it out sometimes. I promise you, don't be afraid of doing that. That's something that literally transformed my life. I talk about it in my book as well, this emotional releasing. You don't always have to suppress your emotions. Understand when you're suppressing, and understand when you're really just trying to change your mindset and your beliefs about yourself in the world. So I think that's going to be it for today's episode. I hope this episode gave you some insight, made you think a little bit, and hopefully you start a practice. And I think that if you really do want to take action to become a new version of you, which is what's going to be required of you, something that really does help is doing self-concept journaling in the morning, because you will start to feel so good about yourself. It feels so good to write good thoughts and good beliefs about yourself in the morning or at night or throughout the day. It's so good to listen to a positive podcast. It's so good to listen to people say that it's possible. And when you're in this good, like positive mindset and environment, you will take action. You will be motivated to go to the gym, to eat better, to be inspired by other people, to think it's possible for you to have this life as well. So just do that for yourself. You have these desires. You know it doesn't make any sense to continue to live out your wounds and your traumas from your childhood. Understand where it came from. Understand why it happened. Of course, if you have to go to therapy and really dig deep, you might have to do that. But at the end of the day, it's like, listen, you didn't come here to live a crappy life and think crappy thoughts about yourself. We're done with it. We know it doesn't work. We're not doing it anymore. So that'll be everything. If you're interested in my book, The Ultimate Glow Up Guide, link down below, you do get a free shadow work journal prompt guide, which helps you get to the root of your insecurities and speak to yourself in a more loving way. You can get that for free. All the information down below, will be down below. And that is for when you pre-order the book. So you have up to January 30th. And of course, my Heal and Manifest guide, that's a great guide that is more aligned to what I was talking about in this episode. And anything else that you need from me will be down below. And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget also to follow the podcast Instagram, the Glow Up Seekers podcast Instagram. I'm sharing more wellness tips, more podcasts that I'm loving, like all the resources that I want to share with you guys. And that will be down below as well. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.